totally understand that these videos don't do so well. I totally understand that they usually lead to you know, people unsubscribing and a lack of views and stuff like that because of a lack of audience retention. But I am going to talk about, I've told you before on this channel that a big part of what I want to do is I don't just want to entertain you guys, I want to kind of make a bit of a difference in the world. I want to make a bit of an impact. I worked for the same company for 14, 15 years in the end up. I started working offshore. It's a really good industry. I earned good money for a lot of years. I spent 10 years offshore, and then in 2012 I made the decision, because I didn't want to work away anymore, to move into the office, where I basically, over the course of the next 4 years, let stress and tiredness and unhappiness get the better of me, and I ended up having an acute episode of psychosis. And it was scary because my girlfriend was told by our psychiatrist at the time that I may never come out of it. It was, you know, 2 weeks of them not knowing whether or not I was going to get better. Me totally fine because I was in a world of my own. But I recovered. I gave it a bit more of a go at work for 6 months. Decided to quit. Did a few more little jobs before deciding to sell everything, make a big life change, and go travelling for 6 months. And we've ended up living down here in Spain, having sold a lot of assets and stuff. You know, a house. I sold a couple of motorbikes. I sold our cars. Yeah, we made a big decision to do something very different to make life better for ourselves, and it worked really well. We're really happy now. And so this is the kind of area that I think that I want to talk about a little bit on the channel from time to time, because even if this kind of video reaches one person looking for a bit of inspiration, and I lose 10 subscribers and get half as many views because of the fact that it's not all mountain biking, that's totally worth it to me. If I can make a difference to that one person and maybe help them, then that's perfect. So what I was pondering is what advice I would give to myself back in 2013 when I had been in the office for a year. It became abundantly clear to me that that wasn't the thing for me to be doing, but I decided to take the easy option, which is to keep plugging away at the same thing in the hope that it would fix itself, really, by doing slightly different things outside of work, but hoping it would, you know, the leak would plug itself at some point. I think there's two pieces of advice I would give myself. Now, the first is a quote that I keep hearing at the minute, and it's very simple, and it doesn't even sound like a quote more than something that you would just say. It's do more of the things that you love. And that sounds very easy and it sounds very idealistic, but doing the things that you love isn't always the easiest thing to do. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand with my second piece of advice to myself, which would have been, don't take the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance. So I've become, since my incident, since becoming ill, I've become very aware of happiness and the whole concept of happiness. Now, as a child and into my early 20s is how it worked out for me. You're like an animal, really. You kind of work off instincts. You do the things that make you happy, you do the things that you feel like you need to do, you eat when you're hungry, you drink when you're thirsty, you go out on a Friday night when you need to, you have sad days when you're hungover and stuff like that. But overall, because you're just working off instincts, things are pretty much all right. Like, you know, I was always ambitious. I didn't really have a plan, but life was going quite successfully because of the fact that I was ambitious and my instincts took me in a lot of right directions. Like, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now in my mid-30s, after what's happened, I've become quite aware and become quite observant of my own actions and the result of my own actions. So like, if I spend a Sunday afternoon all day watching TV. I feel like crap at the end of the day, and I normally have a pretty crap Monday as well. And that's because I've taken the path of least resistance. So the path of least resistance in life is starting from very small stuff, is watching TV on a Sunday instead of going out and enjoying a walk, a mountain bike ride, whatever it is for you. It's making a decision to not eat healthily. The easy option is just to eat what you want to eat, regardless of the consequences. Bigger stuff is staying in a relationship that you don't want to be in. That's the path of least resistance. Staying in a job that you don't want to be in, living in a country that you don't want to live in. These are all the path of least resistance. And the problem is that to tie it back into doing the things you love, when you just take the path of least resistance all the time, that's what you'll end out doing. You'll end out vegging out watching TV, you'll end out not getting out as much as you need to be getting out, you'll end out eating crap food, you'll end out in relationships you don't want to be in, you'll end out in jobs that you don't want to be in. Sometimes life you need to make difficult choices, and you need to venture away from the path of least resistance, which is what we did, almost 2 years ago now when we started traveling. That was a big decision for us, but we did it and it's worked out really well. And so that's the advice I would give myself in 2013 would be, what you're doing is not right for you. Do more of the things that you love, even though that means avoiding the path of least resistance a lot of the time. Know that sometimes doing the slightly more difficult thing short term leads to something better in the long term, And I really hope this finds one person that it helps.